The most amazing story has been breaking lately, and it's very interesting from a kind of an archetypal aspect too. If you haven't heard about the story, I'll put the link below. It's absolutely one of the most amazing things ever. And it also ties in with so many things I talk about here, the way the zeitgeist almost has an echo or reflection of itself within events that happen that draw your attention to them for a reason. Now, you saw the video I made, or the videos I made with the Greta Thunberg thing. I just don't care what anyone says. That's just a globalist game. They did it before David Suzuki started in 1992. The 1% just whip out their children to tell the rest of us how to live. It's old-fashioned class system, ordering the poor and the middle class around and telling them what they have to do. And it's all sold off with things like brain chemicals and neurochemical feel-good emotions. Now, at the same time as these things happen, you will also get almost like a foreshadowing or a warning of what's really going on, or at least to call your attention to it. This is what I talk about observing the psychic weather. Observing the psychic weather and observing the archetypal resonance in society allows you to understand the world a bit better. People always say to me, how come you're always able to predict these things or have a second sight? I don't have a second sight. I'm not a prophet. I'm not even a seer or anything like that. What I do is I pay attention not to the main bang in the zeitgeist, but the echo. And the echo, where it's coming from, tells you what you need to know about what's really going on. Now, this kid, adult in the Ukraine, passed herself off as an 8-year-old. Now, if you look at her photographs, that's pretty. I'd say she's probably a Roma gypsy, but it goes different than that. And the family she tried to basically kill the family. It was the classic poison dwarf thing, toxic midget thing. And no, I'm not putting down like small, short people or anything like that. I'm just saying, that kind of stereotype and negative stereotype, of course. And she pretended she was a child to get to be adopted by an American family, and the family eventually abandoned her after she was doing things like waking up at the end of their bed to be staring at them. She said she was going to kill their other children. She tried to poison her with cleaners and Windex, the mother. And when they took her to the dentist, she had an adult set of teeth, and she was also menstruating as well. And she was passing herself off as an 8-year-old because she was, short, dwarfism. Now, the family abandoned her and were actually charged with abandonment and had to flee to Canada, I believe. They're making a case for themselves now to show that she's not. She's an adult. But there's also something else odd going on here as well. It's almost like, there's a changeling type thing going on. If you look at the child's face, it doesn't look fully human. Now, I'm not saying that because she suffers from dwarfism and saying that people who have dwarfism don't look fully human. Of course they do. But she doesn't even look like one of them. The way people who are dwarves have a certain look about them. It's hard to explain, but there's a certain, like the way their foreheads and their eyebrows, then the rigid brow looks. She doesn't even have that look. She just looks like odd, like from somewhere else. And I do wonder if, I've been talking about that on this channel for years about Roma witchcraft and Roma magic. This is Roma gypsies now. And they do have remarkable powers. I've spoken about this man. I met him once, and he told me that he delivered babies at a Dublin hospital, and he said that the Roma gypsy babies literally walk out of the womb fully alert. He said he's never seen anything like, with full heads of hair and everything. Now, who are the Roma? We don't really know anything about them. They almost like a different species of human, and I don't mean that in a subhuman way or anything like that. There's many things about those people I kind of respect, and the fact that they've held on to their magic, I kind of respect it. And I sat in an office building in Dublin one day watching two Roma women having a conversation from across a busy street without saying a word. And you could see them nodding and agreeing. It was a combination of almost like telepathy, but also this kind of free association thing where they could actually if anyone's have a dog, that making certain facial gestures can actually change a dog. You can have full conversations with a dog just with facial gestures. Well, the same thing what they were doing, and also hand movements. It was remarkable to watch. There was a full conversation without actually using verbal words to communicate. Absolutely fascinating stuff. But so this story ties in also with the Greta Thunberg because it happens at exactly the same time. Greta Thunberg is now. I know you're going to go mental. Some of you people are whipped up in these emotional neurochemical. How dare you attack a child? Greta Thunberg is posing as a child. She will be 17 after Christmas. She's old enough to get married in most countries. She will be eligible for military service and voting in just over a year from now. Yet she's playing a 9-year old. She acts like a 9-year old. She plays on the whole 9-year old thing. And they say that's because she has issues with autism. I haven't seen it. We haven't seen, other than a mother telling us this, where's the proof of this? We haven't seen it yet. Are we dealing with another situation where we had there's even a press conference where she couldn't answer a question when it went off script, and she was actually doing Duper's delights, this kind of thing, smiling, smirking, and I'm telling you, there's more to that. Some of you are getting whipped up in these superficial feel-good chemicals. I would love to know. Oh, okay, just let's say she's 100% legit. I would love to know how a little girl is saving the world. Realistically, why is she shouting at the UN? It's the corporations who are causing all the pollution. Now, that's been covered on my other Thomas Sheridan channel. Now, this here I want to talk about. That's what this little thing in the Ukrainian poison dwarf, which certainly looks Roma. I may be wrong with that, but to me she does, and has had this archetypal resonance of a Swedish one girl from the 1% pretending to be a poor little country Swedish child, and she's actually almost an adult. You see, feedback. Everything is a feedback loop. You observe. Now, I'm not necessarily putting down Greta Thunberg if this is all a joke. It's just like a David Suzuki's daughter. I'm not putting her down. It's the parents and the families and the social systems they come from is what ultimately does this. Ultimately creates this, and you're being told, watch, pay attention. You've seen my talk on 9/11. All the things that people call it predictive programming. It's not. Artists and people who are sensitive can pick up the things before they happen. There's a shock wave travels backwards in time, but also there's a shock wave, it bounces back on itself. So much superficial emotional thing has been put into that Greta Thunberg speech at the UN that it bounces back and forth as an echo through the sort of synchronistic archetypal world. And then lo and behold, this story pops up of a Ukrainian little girl who turned out to be a 22-year-old woman scamming Americans. Pay attention.